Sup, Sly Gang? So last fall, as I was working on a coding project, one of the tracks that snuck its way into my playlist evoked that unlock the avatar state type memory recollection that only comes every couple of years. So I started playing Monster Hunter again recently. I've been a fan of the Monster Hunter series since Monster Hunter Tri, the third mainline Monster Hunter release. And I've played a total of 6 different Monster Hunter titles. With the recent announcement of Monster Hunter Wilds, I needed to get something off my chest. Monster Hunter fucking slaps, bro. I'm serious. Monster Hunter is probably in my top 5 game series of all time, and I may have more merch from Monster Hunter collectively than most of the things I'm a fan of outside of maybe Avatar and One Piece. Monster Hunter is, no pun intended, wild. At the heart of it, I like Monster Hunter because what you hear is what you get. No one ever asks what Monster Hunter is about. It's in the title, you nematode. Sometimes you hear a game title and you're like, bro, what is this even? Like Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning. What does this even mean? What does it have a subtitle if it's the only game in the series? Or how am I supposed to know that Touch Dick is actually just dictionary software for the Nintendo DS? I suppose on the other end of the spectrum it could be too specific, like with Summertime High School, A Young Man's Notes. How a new exchange student like myself ran into his childhood friend on the school tour, then for some reason became super popular with the girls for his daily scoops on the school photography club, even though he only takes panty shots, and what he thinks as he goes on dates during his summer of island school life. That's really what the game is titled. But no, with Monster Hunter, that title is clear and to the point. What do? You monster hunt. Who are you? A monster hunter. How do you win? You hunt the monster. But belying its beguiling simplicity is a depth of gameplay and challenge of the mighty that tempers even the most battle-hardened action gamers as they rise to this monstrous challenge. See what I did there? You see what I did there?
Man, you corny!
But before we even jump into the hunt, can we get a vibe check real quick? Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's that smooth shit. Seriously, I love how most of the games of the Monster Hunter series have this really subtle title menu music, almost like a calm before the storm, you know? Whether it's Monster Hunter World's simple melody with only a minute or so before it loops back around, or the harmonious percussion of Tri. Hell, the first few games of the series didn't even have menu music until the character creation. And that's when the inspiring epic theme of the series, Proof of a Hero, starts playing, almost as to say,
hey, y'all look at this motherfucker.
Monster Hunter's core gameplay loop is simple. You as a hunter are commissioned to hunt a monster. When that monster is slain or captured, you then get to take parts from the monster that can then be crafted into weapons and armor. Those weapons and armor can then be used to hunt stronger monsters. Rinse and repeat. Well, you might be thinking,
well, Lord Third, that sounds boring as fuck.
Get the fuck out of here.
The diversity of monsters in Monster Hunter ensures that this loop throws new things to consider in hunting each of the monsters. Each monster has a unique design with attacks that match. There's a beautiful form-meeting function aspect to every monster design in Monster Hunter. If a monster has a huge ridge of bone and cartilage on its head, both its attacks and movements, and even way of life probably has something to do with that big-ass ridge on its head. Every monster is like this, intentionally and robustly designed, especially in the capabilities of modern Monster Hunter. There are interactions and turf wars between rival monsters in the ecosystem. There are tracking patterns that you have to consider. The monster physiology brings unique challenges to each encounter, with interesting gimmicks and behaviors to anticipate. I love seeing the lineup of classic monsters meeting new monsters in each Monster Hunter installment. On top of hunting the monsters, being able to utilize their parts to create armor that embodies the monster is pretty badass. The thing that I love about Monster Hunter is that you're not trading up, you're not buying these items, you have to hunt these creatures in order to get them. Sure, you can hop online and have someone who's level 999 carry to victory, but the chances of that happening are rather slim. And because of the way in which Monster Hunter is set up, if you faint 3 times, the quest is over, in most cases. So because of that, even if you do have someone that is incredibly skilled, if someone is not up to snuff with hunting the monster, and if you guys aren't looking out for one another, then it is very easy for everyone to fail the quest, even if you have someone super capable. And so because of that, everyone who goes on the hunt has to be prepared to at least be able to hold their own when they're fighting new monsters. So there's no easy way of just skating through and getting the things that you need. But the real draw for Monster Hunter, in my eyes, is the wide range of weapons that players are presented with. In the Monster Hunter series, there are 18 different weapon types for players to play with. Most modern games usually narrow this number down to around 14, but this number grew from 7 in the original game. 6 if we're talking about the OG Japanese release. And like Monster Hunter designs, each weapon type is unique in its playstyle. From berserk-like great swords and mantis-like dual blades to straight-up dragon guns. Dragon guns. The weapon selection of Monster Hunter games is ridiculous. No 2 weapons share the exact same traits. You might think that the gun lance is just a fusion dance of the vanilla lance and the bow gun, but no, there's a complete shift in the move system of the weapon. There are new tactics that you have to learn, there's new timing that you have to understand in order to master this weapon to its fullest. One of my favorite weapons is the Charge Blade. It's an amalgam of the sword and shield that can be put together to form a gigantic battle axe with elemental charges. The Charge Blade has these energy charges that accumulate while attacking with the sword mode, which are then used to power up the axe mode. A number of the sword mode attacks naturally combo into the axe transformation, and vice versa. From axe mode, you can either augment damage with your stored energy, or you can transfer that energy into your shield, then allowing you to charge the sword, all in seamless moves. That's pretty robust, right? Well, you can also turn that axe into a fucking buzzsaw. Granted, the value that this adds to the Charge Blade's kit is debatable, but you can't deny that it's cool as shit. Everything that I described totals about 23 different moves across the 2 modes, with dozens of combos to unleash while on a hunt, giving you a massive collection of moves and tactics that you have to learn and have to figure out if you're going to master this weapon. The skill ceiling on the Charge Blade is fairly high as far as Monster Hunter weapons go, and that can take dozens of hours to master. But it is so satisfying when you can land a sword combo into a shield block just as Nergigante charges you, or land that elemental charge on Electrion to close out the quest. But consider the fact that I only described one weapon. Every weapon in Monster Hunter has a different style that requires practice to master. As I stated before, some of the weapons are amalgamations of simpler weapons and a little easier, but it's the same scenario as saying Ken and Ryu of Street Fighter are the same character. There are differences that change how each plays, especially in modern renditions. Add on to that, wholly unique weapons like the Insect Glaive or the Hunting Horn. There's so much to explore. The weapon design and combat style of each has only refined and expanded over time, with new features being added through the years like increased verticality and traversal, allowing you to mount large monsters, more advanced hunting tools that allow for additional hunting options from traps to hunting mantles, and even your hunting companions that assist with hunts, and armor skills that change depending on what set of armor you choose, or how you augment them, elevating the strategy aspect even more. Now, that is a lot, and I will say Monster Hunter is a grindy game. It's a core aspect of the identity of the series. Monster parts have different drop rates, but the items that you get have always been based on how you hunt the monsters. If you break the horns of that behemoth, then guess what? You're going to be getting behemoth horns 9 times out of 10. There are some items that remain elusive even with targeting specific parts, But modern renditions of the formula assuages some of the tedium by introducing methods with greater likelihood of getting rare drops, such as the investigations in Monster Hunter World. Also, you know exactly where to get these parts and resources from in-game, and you can even track how many you need and bookmark what you are trying to build with in-game systems. So you can go away and come back with clear goals to remind you, hey, I was looking for the horns or the claws of this monster or these monsters, and I need 50 of these ore. Now, I will at this point in the video say that I would not recommend Monster Hunter to everyone. If you aren't a fan of what I described, like grinding in general or a hack and slash game, I wouldn't recommend it to you. In addition, there are some hefty challenges to the game and much of the post-game content. Also, if you are looking for a deep and provocative story, I also wouldn't recommend this one. Every Monster Hunter has a story, and some of them are hit or miss, but it's simply there to move the action along in most regards and really to introduce the monsters. There are some concepts that are actually pretty cool about conservation and being a part of an ecosystem and how, we're all in this together or something. But hey, if you're looking for a deep and provocative story, I wouldn't recommend this one. But I will say that even if the story of Monster Hunter tends to be pretty basic, the personality of the world of Monster Hunter is far from it. Because the world of Monster Hunter is a character in and of itself. There is a ton of hidden lore to the game that nods to ancient civilizations lost to the ravages of monsters in the past. Different monster descriptions, especially those of Elder Dragons, allow you to piece bits of the story together. There are loads of characters of different races, human, Wyverian, Linean, that simply exist. There's no long, drawn-out conversation on who and what the cultures are. We simply see it in the design and the way of life. That same principle of form meeting function that we see in the monster design is simultaneously realized in the human civilization that you get to take part of. Large industrial forges built using a combination of metals and monster parts, water mills that power settlements, or giant protruding wyvern bones used to fortify structures. All of these paint a picture of what this world is that you inhabit. I've heard the aesthetic of Monster Hunter described as cave punk or stone punk, and I think that fits, more or less, when you observe the setting that you take part of in this game. In addition to those subtle design choices, you have the explicit characterization of NPCs that bring personality to the story in your experience. Just look at this little feline helping cut wood for the camp. These silly masterful cuts don't need to be there, but someone painstakingly took the time to make that animation added to the game, even though 90% of the player base probably would never notice. Or how about this one, cooking and working in the kitchen? He's risking his whiskers for that meal that you're about to eat, so you'd better put it to good use. Who doesn't feel amped up when you get a meal prepared by the muscular chef? Or how about drudging in from a cold hunt in Celiana or the Hoarfrost Reach, only to come into the warm embrace of Grand Meowster Chef as she prepares this wonderful soup, just to make you feel at home, just to let you know, hey, it's gonna be alright. You'll be alright.
You're going to be alright. You just stumbled over a stone in the road.
There are bits of personality all throughout the series of Monster Hunter, and these are the parts that I especially love. Whether it's the silly character animations that you see, or maintaining a fairly lighthearted tone while hunting world-ending calamitous killers. This is a beautiful balance that the Monster Hunter team has struck well, and I love it. What's more, these little details work to tell a story that isn't explicit or in your face, but it's one that you piece together as you examine and experience the world. For those who are there for the monster hunting, they can experience that. And for those who want the magic of this world that is not quite magical, but a little bit more scientific, you can have that as well. Hey, wait a minute. Is there more to the story than I thought to Monster Hunter?
You'll walk again.
Nah, this is a game about Hit Dragon Good. What are we talking about? Again, the name of the game is Monster Hunter, not Monster Hunter Stories. Oh wait, but if any of this is intriguing to you, now is probably the best time ever to jump into Monster Hunter. with both Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise being available on PC, or some console at really good prices, and a decent chunk of players still playing both pretty regularly, so you may even be able to get some good online play going on. I've mostly been playing World again solo because I'm fairly experienced in the series, but online could be a good place to test the waters of tougher creatures and get some help on those Elder Dragons if you are new to the hunting game. I encourage you to see for yourself before the next generation releases in Monster Hunter Wilds. Also, if you're curious about the design of the series over the years, there was actually an awesome 20-year celebration video on the main Monster Hunter channel that was streamed for the Vicennial celebration. I really love this series, and I'm really excited at the prospect of new folks joining the Hunters Guild. Like all games, there's always going to be the debate on whether or not the new games are as good as the old ones, or whether or not games are getting too easy. And in some ways, I would argue yes, and other ways I would argue no. Some of the ways that the game is easy is because it just has better game design. But I could just be talking as someone who had to throw my face into a wall playing Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. Still a good game, by the way. But there you have it. I just wanted to make a quick video on why I really like Monster Hunter. And if you're a fan of the series, comment down below and let me know what monsters you've really loved in this series, or what are some of your favorite experiences of the series so far. I gotta say, playing Monster Hunter Tri, I just distinctly remember grinding to get the Legiacris armor, because man, that armor was awesome. Also, the Legiacris was actually a really fun fight. Monster Hunter Tri was the first and the last game to have any underwater combat segments, which was really interesting. I don't know if they ever plan on bringing that back. I feel like the reception was probably not great to the underwater segments, but at this point I'm ranting. I'll probably be in the comment section. So I also want to take a moment to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed, everyone who has commented, whether they are comments of dissent or agreement. I love them all. I like having conversations on games and media and in general. So yeah, you know, if you think that Monster Hunter is like a absolutely terrible game, I want to hear that too. And more importantly, I want to know why. You know, maybe it's just not your thing. Maybe you just don't like the mechanics. I'm genuinely curious. So with that being said, I would love if you guys could comment. If you like the videos that we put out here on this channel, subscribe, leave a like, and with that, good luck, hunters. Monster Hunter's core gameplay loop is simple. You are a monster. No, you're not a monster.